Welcome to our JUNEwary Challenge 2025. You've probably got used to hearing those words now. Yes, our live Zoom, and very big welcome to Stephen Dunstone, composer extraordinaire. I don't know if you've seen that. I've written that. He doesn't like it.
Yes, we
That
can
is
see
my
it.
writing, not his.
We can see it.
Yes, I should hope so. I wouldn't dream of saying something like that.
No, it was me that wrote it. You're okay.
Right.
And
You should put beside yourself tutor extraordinaire
tutor
because
extraordinaire.
you
Just to be
really
fair,
are phenomenal. Just watching those, I was so blown away by the meticulous care and thoroughness of everything you were doing, and such good ideas that you had for just practicing little bits. It was perfect.
oh, thank you. Thank you. That's the name of the game. There you go. I've on Stephen's say so. I have made myself tutor extraordinaire with an exclamation mark just to really make it. There we go. Welcome. Hi, Catherine. Welcome. We've if you have the power, we're renaming ourselves with where we are in the world or country or whatever. If you have the power to do that. If don't stress too much, but it's quite nice to put in as well. This is being recorded, but Anne has got me pinned big, so if you appear on screen at all, you'll only be tiny in a corner.
So you can't really see my mug very clearly.
Oh no, what does it say? King of Strings?
Lord of the Strings,
Oh, Lord of the Strings.
with a
Like that.
picture of Gandalf playing the harp.
Gandalf playing the harp. Oh, there you go. Well, mine's just a general music mug.
Yeah.
Yeah, not.
I got it from Geraldine McMahon in oh, I can't even remember what the name of the company she is that where she sells second-hand harps. But Affairs of the Harp. At one of the Edinburgh festivals, she had a stand there with a whole load of them, which are great. And there's one that says "Home is where the harp is."
Is there one that's play like an angel, practice like a devil, or something, or the other way
Yeah,
around?
practice like the devil to play like an angel. Yeah,
That's it. Yes.
Nice. Well, old Tolkien would be proud of you, wouldn't he?
Yes.
I hope so.
Right, so welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking part. There are people that have let us know they won't be able to make it, but that are looking forward to watching the video on playback at some point too. Thank you though for all of you that have taken part, and it's been such a joy to have not just one but two pieces from Stephen, and the variety of them, and yet also the same skill that comes in it with the crossing over of the hands. So it's been really nice tying those two together. What we normally do in these live Zooms for our January or JUNEwary challenge is we play through the pieces or the piece or whichever at a couple of different speeds, much like a play along video, but everyone is technically sort of playing together, albeit the usual Zoom thing of being muted and just listening. But you just get that feeling of knowing that you are actually playing at the same time as someone else. Doing the same thing, which is lovely. So we usually do that. And when the composer is present, as you are, Stephen, we also take advantage to ask you about things. I mean, like I haven't shared, and I know you have some blurb about the background to these pieces, so we would love to hear more about that as well from you. It's your chance to plug any books you have to.
Right.
So, okay, just between you and me.
Yes.
So,
The others didn't hear that.
So that's also really nice to do. So why don't we first of all have a gentle playthrough of Squirrels in Shades as our first piece that we learnt. I did reshare the play along video for this yesterday to sort of get it back into everybody's thing. Done it. I'm not well done. Okay, so we'll go boom ba dee da dum ba dee da. Now remember that we've got the repeat. So we're going to go through to that second page, the first bar on that page of the second line, sorry, bar 20. It's only 2 beats long, and then we're straight back to the beginning of the piece again. We're going through the whole thing again, and then we go into the second time bar, and we have these 3 8 bars. So in terms of our beat, it's 1 beat, and then we're straight into the next bar. So being aware of that. And also it's quite hard on Zoom to convey it, but to try and put some dynamics in as well. So be aware of your louds and softs. The loudest part being the ya da da dee when we go nice and high. Oops, I'll try not to kick the light that I've got hidden down here. Right, here we go. So I will give you a count of 4 in. Dum ba dee da, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 3, 4. Quieter. 3, a little bit louder. 1, 2, beginning. Nice and steady. Ready? 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Stop when you're ready. Good job. I didn't get particularly quieter, did I? I didn't get to pianissimo. Triple P. But yes, I got too busy with my counting on the last 3 lines to do dynamics for you. Super. Okay, so it is also, of course, your chance to ask any questions that you have. If you are thinking it, then so is someone else. So there are no daft questions. Okay. So feel free to unmute yourselves, and first we'll go if there's any questions, and then we'll maybe get Stephen to give us a bit of a background on it. Yes, June, go for it. Can you unmute, love?
I was really curious when you were putting this together, whether Stephen had given you the fingering or you thought of the fingering, because I thought it was brilliant and I really liked it, but I look at the music and I go, if I had no fingering at all, I don't know what I actually would do. I was just curious what your thought process is.
Okay, so this was Stephen's fingering.
Okay.
Almost always, if I write it in permanently like this, it's because, well, I mean, actually, this one is directly from Stephen's copy anyway. But sometimes I have to retype it out for these challenges in order to be able to produce the right section each day. And if I do that and I put fingering in, it's because it's come from the composer, almost always, and then I will always let you know if not. So Stephen, your fabulous fingering.
Yeah, it just seemed to be the best way of doing it. And a lot of pieces that I write start out just sitting at the harp and noodling away and thinking, oh, this sounds, oh, that's nice. Oh, I like that. And then thinking, where's this going to go? Okay, what is the best way of doing it without making it awkward and time consuming? Because sometimes if you've suddenly got to use all 4 fingers, you jump and do something up here, the left hand's doing nothing. As I think you said in one of your tutorials, you don't want this hand doing nothing. Get it to join in. I think when you were talking about Autumn Mist, you said you can play this arpeggio all in the left hand, but it's really nice to split it between the hands. And this is something that I've always felt, particularly when teaching ensembles in schools, and the pupils aren't really that good at doing lots of arpeggios just in one hand. So, I mean, I think it would be great if associated board exams did much more splitting the, at a very early stage, you know, splitting an arpeggio between the hands. And I've just seen in the new Harps syllabus for grade 1, they do offer you the chance to do your arpeggio split between the hands. Thought, oh, yeah. But I think if they are going to do that, they might as well take you on into 2 octaves, because it's so easy to do compared with just one. Anyway, that's a kind of sidetrack. But yes, in terms of the fingering, it just felt really good. Bum, ba-dum, 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 ba. And because your right hand is there, it might as well stay there rather than having to jump and seize the E, G, and C all together. If you're thinking about the third line, well, bar 8. Well, yeah, that was the question about the fingering. I'm not sure that I got anything else particular to say about it, except when you were playing the last 2 chords, can you just play them again in the way that
Did I do them in one hand?
you did? Did you not? I don't think you did normally, did you?
No,
did
I
you?
did, because I went like this. I was demonstrating with my other hand to go and. So
Yeah.
no, you're right. They are.
Yeah. And, you know, one doesn't need to, but again, it's actually really quite nice just to use both of them. And one thing I meant to say when I was talking about ensembles in schools is that if you put too much into an ensemble, each part in an ensemble piece, it just becomes muddy. There's too much going on. And also if you're dealing with pupils who can't do a great deal with both hands at once, and it's just going to take them, I mean, in terms of having separate parts in each hand, it's going to take them much longer to learn it. So if they've just got a melody part, I'll always split the melody up between both hands, and then they can do it so much faster as well. And there was one concert we were working for where I didn't get all the pupils doing that, and the adjudicator in this said, what's wrong with some of the harpists' hands? Why aren't they using their left hand? And I thought, yeah, because he really singled out how lame it looked. So not only is it easier to play, it's more fun and it looks better. And actually, I mean, it really is quite cool just doing that leaping around. And as you said in one of your lessons, it's a technique that is so necessary when you're playing the harp. So although things, you know, you could do things in one particular piece, the more you develop that ability to leap around, the better it is. And that actually tacks on to something else you said in one of your lessons about changing levers. And you said once you've got your hand on the lever, you don't need to watch it, you don't need to look at it, just look and see where the strings are. So this is something I get my pupils doing when they're just moving from one part of the harp to the other part of the harp. You know, they'll look and say, oh yes, didn't I play that nicely? Where am I going now? Too late. So as soon as you're virtually on the way to the string, you can look back and go. Anyway, I hope that answered the question.
I've heard that technique or that idea as well described as eyeball bouncing. I don't know if you've ever heard that, Stephen. But...
No, I haven't. The thing I'd liken it sometimes is a scene in A Clear and Present Danger. I don't know if you've seen that film, with Harrison Ford as deputy director of the CIA, or stand-in director at this point, for James L. Jones, who's in hospital. Anyway, they're trying to smash a drug cartel, and they get someone up on a hillside with a laser sight, and he's painting the target. So he's got his laser sight onto this particular vehicle that they want to blow up. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the sky, there's this jet with the laser guided missile. And it's a terribly inappropriate image to use. I mean, savage and brutal and quite awful. But it's the fact that, you know, you pinpoint the target and then you go for it. So this is what you're doing. You know, you're looking at a low string, and, you know, you're up here initially. Look at the low string. Your eyes act as a kind of fail-safe mechanism for making sure you actually hit that target. And if you're actually looking in the right place, your hand just goes there, doesn't it? It you know, the sooner you're there, the better it will find it to easier it'll find to get to the target.
As a more peaceful analogy,
Yes.
if you're riding a bicycle, where you look is where you'll go.
Yes.
But yes, shall we do a faster version of this for those that want to join in with as much or as little as you wish? I mean, we've got here a beat equaling 120. So that means every half bar is a second. Boom, ba-dum, 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 ba-bum, ba-bum, boom. Fancy a go of that for fun? Yes. There we go. There you go. Can you do that magic muting of yourself again, Stephen, please? We'll see if I can play it at that speed. I'm not sure I can. But I can cover it. I can look like I can play it. That's all you have to do. Okay, here we go. So 1 and 2, 3, 4. There we go. That is a prime example there of getting inside your own head as well. So I missed out a left hand somewhere, noticed that I missed it out, thought a lot about that, and then made some interesting note combos immediately following it for a line, and then let it go and moved on. So yes, a prime example of getting in your own head. Is there any background to Squirrels in Shades, Stephen? Because I haven't shared anything about this naming or anything.
I think you did say something in one of the early ones about how it was scampering, so scampering sort of feel to the piece because of squirrels, and also it wasn't in the shade, it was they're wearing shades because it's all kind of cool. One of the purposes was reiterating playing things in compound time, which I'd done earlier in the book, but I'm not sure I'd done anything in 12/8 before. But particularly, I wanted to have syncopations and try and get people feeling how it's actually quite easy to feel the da, 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 da. And it won't work unless you really do have a strong sense of the beat going all the time. And you mentioned the fact that it was in the Mixolydian mode. And I did want to say a couple of things about what I like about modes. Now, I don't know how much all of you here know about modes, but in lots of establishments that I've come across, they're never mentioned. Well, I say established, I mean schools. The music staff sometimes don't know what modes are. I'm sure it's starting to change now, but certainly up until fairly recently, they had no idea. And I think they're a wonderful, absolutely wonderful resource instead of just writing in a minor key or a major key, because theoretically if you've got, say, as in this case, G major tuning, you've got 7 different possibilities, because you can have a scale that starts on the first note of the scale, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and even the seventh. And they've all got different names. So the names are, well, actually, the major scale itself is the Ionian mode, but no one ever talks about that because we just called it a major scale. The second one up is the Dorian mode. So if you're in G major but you're at home on A, you're in the Dorian mode. If you've got C major tuning and you're on D, at home is D, you're in the Dorian mode. And the lovely thing about the Dorian mode is that it's a minor feel. Because it's easy to take the example of C major because everyone can visualize that on the piano, hopefully. The fourth note of the scale in C major is F, but it's the third note of the scale in D. So a D chord would be a D minor chord. But you've also got these different notes at the top of the scale. You've got a flattened seventh, but you've got a sharpened sixth. So you've got a B natural C D. And the same is true of the, well, I think there are 3 really important modes: the Dorian, the Aeolian, and the Mixolydian. The Aeolian is exactly the same as a relative minor. So it's based on the 6th degree of the scale. It's exactly the same as the relative minor, but with a up and leading note. So if you visualize, again, C major tuning, visualize A minor, you've got G natural to C at the top because you haven't sharpened the leading note. So again, just like in the Dorian mode, your last 2 notes are a whole tone apart. The same is true in the Mixolydian mode, but the difference here, the Mixolydian mode is, as you were saying, am I going on too long here?
No, go on. We'll
Okay.
give you 1 more minute.
Right. The Mixolydian mode starts on what you think of as the 5th degree of the scale. So in G major, if you've got G major tuning, you're at home on D, as you've pointed out. But that means that the 3rd degree of your scale is now F sharp. So it feels bright and strong and majorish, but you've also got this wonderful ending of a C natural to a D, just as you do in the Dorian mode. So what playing in modes gives you is a kind of alternative perfect cadence. So instead of going from the 5th back home to the tonic, from the dominant to the tonic, you can do these really cool cadences where you're going from this major chord that's based on the 7th note of the scale, just up 1, bom, bom. And so that's one of the things that comes out quite strongly in this. And it's all C major, D major. Anyway, over to you.
Very nice. Thank you. Okay. I mean, I know those that have lessons with me, I do a lot of thinking about, chords 1, 1, 4, 5 and where they come in, and relative minor, and sort of, so that cadence as an offering there is really, really good to know about. Okay, we're going to go on to Autumn Mist, aware of our time. So different levers. So in this one, we started at the very end with our learning. I've been wanting to do that since I started the January challenge ideas. In fact, since it was a November challenge, that's how long ago. I've been wanting to do that. And there hasn't quite been the piece that would nail it for me, but this one was perfect. So I really liked, and I liked that because I was doing 2 pieces, I could do one the conventional way, as it were, and one in this style. But what it allowed us to do was to give our full fresh energy to one of the trickier lines of the piece, which is the ending one, rather than you only having received that 2 days ago, and be trying to play it now. So it's the one you've played the most of all the music in it, I hope. Whereas when I came to 2 days ago, giving you just the first 2 lines of the piece, they felt really straightforward with what you'd already been doing and learning, which I'm pleased about. So again, we will start with a nice steady version of this. When I do the faster versions, remember, of course, it's absolutely fine just to sit back and listen and enjoy. There is no compulsion to take part at that point. Just do what feels right for you. So Stephen, if you don't mind to mute a second again, and we will do our Autumn Mist in a steady version. Keep breathing with this one. We're in 3/4. Again, some lovely dynamics. We start at the beginning, we go all the way through both pages. So there's some levers coming off. So make sure you've got your F sharps at the moment, one either side of middle C. Then the levers will come off as we go into the second section. They go back again at the end of that page in order to go back to bar 5, which is line 2. And we play through from there until the word fine, which is at the top of page 2. This is my laying out of Stephen's piece purely for the joy of sharing it on here, but I always try and stay true to the original scoring. Okay, so yes, right, beginning. So I'll do this speed for now. I mean, Andantino would be a little bit faster than this, but it's not a crazy fast piece, this one. There's more feeling in it. Cantabile e misterioso. Okay, ready? Let's let those shoulders drop away. Thank you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 2, 3. Lots of time. Ready with your levers? 2, 3. Ready with your levers again? 2, 3, line 2. Keep breathing. Slowing down. 2, 3. Well done. I'm sure I sped up. Sorry, folks. It's just got such a lovely, lovely flow to it. That would be one to really watch for when playing along as a group. Right this moment, I've got Veronica to my right on the screen, and our harps are making a heart. It's very pretty.
Oh,
It's really nice. Yes. Any questions on that before we learn anything more about it? I did have one more pointer to give on it, actually. But any more questions? No? Cool. Okay, so the other pointer that I never really covered in my videos was because I did quite a lot of being mindful of where the chords were and really working on the left, right, left, and recognizing that we were going from the G to the D and then the D back to the G, and talking a bit about the 1-5-5-1 elements of those as well. But I never really correlated the fact that if I play bar 5, I've got a G arpeggio, left hand's gone over to the B and the D. And just being aware that my right hand, I mean, it had played this, but my right hand notes that it needs to go to are just a step away from where my left hand notes currently are. So just to add that last element in, really, of tying the two parts together, so that we don't, because we can practice, okay, yeah, we can know it's going to be these arpeggios, and we know that the melody goes like this, da da dum, and we can try and pull that all together. But that final little snippet of realizing as well how it correlates to what's just been played, regardless of the hand, just helps tie it together as well. And it can be handy if you discover if you've ended up a third too high, like I did at one point, which hopefully only Stephen noticed. You can just kind of cover it and keep going as well. But yes, that feel and that way, that the step sort of movements from it, you can make it work for you. It's got this really lovely feel. It's got our G minor sort of feel that we have at the beginning. Then we go into the relative major. We have our B flat major section, our happy, cheery mid section. Poco più mosso, a little bit more movement. And then we come back to that G minor feel. It's really beautiful though. Is there some background to this, Stephen, without going too heavy on the theory?
Yes, sorry, I won't go waffling on at extreme length. Just picking up what you were saying about the how the right hand fingers, were just next door. That's another reason why it's so important to get your hands in place as soon as you possibly can, because that very often prevents zinging. When, if you're trying to put a hand in and you've just plucked the strings next door, you're almost inevitably going to get your nails bashing it, or one of your nails bashing against one of those vibrating strings. Essentially, I just felt like creating something that was really hauntingly soulful. And I think G minor is a beautiful key. And I felt I think what I was, in addition to simply wanting to write a nice piece, I also wanted to reinforce what you were saying earlier about teaching the tonic, dominant and subdominant, those chords 1, 4 and 5, because so much music is built on those chords. And I think it's really, really important when you're learning a piece to understand more of what you're playing, not just, oh, I'm reading this note, now I'm reading this note, now I'm reading this note. And it makes it 100 times easier. You think, oh, I just got this chord to play now. Ah, yes. Oh, I understand this pattern. And if you compare the two halves, they follow exactly the same pattern, except one's in the relative major. I think you've pretty well said everything else. There wasn't any particular moment of inspiration. I think, again, I was just exploring possibilities. But another one of the things I wanted to do was try and get pupils being able to play both hands at once, but with different strengths. So obviously when you've got the melody, and this is something that's really quite difficult to achieve in this piece, I think, you've got to play some of the melody while your left hand is playing. Your right hand's got to play a chord, but the right hand has got to be stronger. And then you've got to swap over. The right hand's got to be playing more gently, left hand gently, right hand coming in strongly again. Or when the left hand is playing the higher notes that are part of the tune, so your whole tune has got to be at the same volume, and your accompaniment has got to be at the same volume, or the hands relative to each other when they're playing in those things. And I think that came across very well, the way you were doing it. I'm sure it came across very well the way all of you are doing it. But that is one of the challenges there, I think.
I think it's really important, isn't it, that any listener, any audience isn't particularly aware of what we've done hand-wise to make it work.
Yeah.
But they just hear a beautiful melody with its accompaniment, especially in this style of music. And that they shouldn't be able to hear which hand's playing what.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I don't know if this always sounds a little bit woo when I say it, but there's one of the best ways I've found to achieve that. I don't know if this is true for you, Stephen, is to sort of try and remove the overthinking of, right, this hand at this point needs to be stronger, but then at this point needs to not be as strong, is to take out the processing and listen and ask myself, right, I want it to sound like this. I know the melody wants to sound like this. I'm going to listen for that melody singing through. And you still make all the changes that are required, but you've got out of the way of it. And it's like magic. It works so well because your body and brain does know what to do, but it's just getting out of your own way.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. If you can just relax and think of that melody and the harmony being just something kind of shimmering away. But in order for that to work, I think you need to have practiced sending those different messages to each hand. So I think it's worth, if people are finding difficulty in achieving that and finding that, you know, one hand is coming out far too loudly when it shouldn't be, it's worth just taking any group of notes in each hand or a pair of notes in each hand, and just resting your fingers on the strings, you know, pressing them in as you were saying, you know, really get some pressure on the strings, and then lighten up, loosen up, and really feel this relaxation coming through your arms to your hands, and feel that you're sending a stronger message to one hand than the other, and then play both of them together. And it can be quite a difficult thing to do, but once you get it, you think, oh, hey, this is great. I remember my piano teacher many years ago getting me to do this, and in Claire de Lune, I think it was, and it's such a delight when you suddenly find you can do it. So yes, good. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people who'd say this piece would be so much easier if you just did all the arpeggios in the left hand, and it's probably true, as long as you don't find it difficult doing arpeggios. So it was a slightly sneaky way of also getting people to practice this technique of trying to emphasize one hand rather than the other.
Yes. Catherine, go on.
Yes, I have a question. I was really impressed by this piece that all it is just arpeggios. We started off, of course, in the major key because we started at the end, and then it transitioned into the minor key. Can you explain? I know there is a difference when you sharp the seventh, that turns it into a relative minor. And I think there's the difference between a relative minor and a harmonic minor. If you didn't sharp that, the F in the G minor scale, number one, would it work? And number two, can you talk a little bit about like why you do that for songs? And I just want to also add that it dawned on me you could do this in any key in any mode. The way that, because it's just 1 in 5 with maybe a 4 thrown in here and there. And I'm really excited to just try it out like that.
Yeah, do. I'm all for people exploring and experimenting. Sometimes I will do that with the pupil. I've never done it with this piece, so that's really, really interesting to think about what it would be like. If you don't have the sharpened leading note, I don't know whether you can hear what I'm playing here. Can you hear notes I'm playing? Yeah, that's a D major chord. So if you've got G minor. That's your perfect cadence. But if you did it without your sharpened leading note, you'd get this very, very somber, lovely, hauntingly dark sound. So you've got, there's something just full of yearning and longing. So that would become the Aeolian mode. And what I didn't say, because I was spending so long talking about how all the modes, or those 3 modes, the Dorian, the Aeolian, and the Mixolydian, all 3 have that 7th that is only that is a whole tone away from the tonic. So you get that option to do that kind of cadence. What I didn't say was in the Aeolian mode, if you do a straightforward perfect cadence going from 5 to 1, you do get that super haunting sound. sorry, no, no. And I remember someone, I think it was Janet Harbison, said to me years and years ago that the Aeolian mode was a mode you'd never wanted to play in if you were doing music therapy with very sick people, because it would send them into a kind of terminal depression, because you've got a minor tonic and a minor dominant, so you don't get that sense of lift. I'm not sure I totally agree with that, because I find a real excitement in that really haunting folky sort of sound. But do try the piece with F naturals. It'd be really interesting to see how well it worked. In earlier in the in the Harpo, not quite beginners. Where's the camera? I can't see what I'm doing. So the book that Squirrels and Shades came from, when I talk about modes, oh yes, there's a piece I wrote initially in 6/8 just to introduce 6/8 called The Spinning Wheel, which just goes. And then I do the Spanish spinning wheel, which is in the relative minor with a sharpened leading note, so you get. And then, because when you're dealing with harps, particularly lever harps, and you can set any levers you like, you can do really strange. Oh no, this is in another book. But you can do any strange things you like. But I did another one called the square spinning wheel. So if you play that in the Dorian. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong one. The square spinning wheel. If you simply play it instead of in C major, if you play it in C minor, you've got this major, this minor tonic and minor dominant. So you get. And then there's one called the funky spinning wheel, which is Mixolydian. So you get the major. Sorry, I didn't do that very well. But yeah, exploration of the same music, but with different settings and in different modes is just a great way of discovering new possibilities. So have I spent far too long answering that question as well?
No, that was lovely. Honestly, with all those demonstrations as well. Thank you, Stephen. That was really, really lovely. It was really lovely. Any other comments or questions before we maybe play one more through of that?
Would really like to know how to get the Harpo books or any others.
Yes, globally, Stephen.
Yeah, whereabouts are you?
We're in America, USA.
Okay, can you write to me, email me?
Yes.
Is stephendunston@gmail.com. So Stephen, and you know how to spell my name, don't you?
It's on the screen.
It's on the screen, so it is. So all one word, no dot, stephendunston@gmail.com. And yeah, it's great to think people are doing it from abroad. I love this.
Should we do another version of another playthrough of Autumn?
Yes, do. Oh, and for anyone in England, obviously, just go to Crichton's collection.
Yeah.
You can. Is it on the picture that you had in the tutorials?
It might be. It's the email. There's a link on the videos through to your website, Stephen, which then takes you on to Crichton's collection, I think, doesn't it?
And I'll put it in July's newsletter for you.
Thank you,
Thank
Veronica.
you. Thank you.
So Mary, I might be at you just to make sure I get it completely correct, but I'll put it in July's newsletter.
Fabulous. I like that. Fabulous. Okay, so we will do Autumn Mist again. I kind of propose not to go much quicker because it didn't need to go much quicker, and I sped up. Go on, Stephen.
Yeah, I thought what happened was that you naturally found a really good speed.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
basically start at the speed you ended last time, probably.
I'll try that.
Or, maybe, I think it's the kind of piece that needs a little bit of rubato probably as well. So it's not, too static, because it's mist after all, isn't it? And mist swirls
Yes.
around.
Yeah, absolutely. Good shout. Good shout. So we should have our F sharps, hopefully. And we will go da, bum, ba, ba, that kind of speed. It will settle because I have to count you in. I'll give you 2 bars in because I'm not going to subdivide this time. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Lovely.
You,
That was a great speed, actually. It was really good. And it allowed you to do a much, much more impressive writ at the end, didn't it? Being that little bit faster. So that worked beautifully like that.
Yes, I did. I was rather proud of that writ there. That was quite a nice one. I also suddenly became much more conscious of whether or not I was bringing out the melody enough. And yes, again, yeah, it is interesting. As soon as you put an audience in, you see, you start getting in your own head.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, everybody. If there's any last questions or comments, please do speak up. Otherwise, thank you very much. Yes, Nicola, can you unmute?
Mary, would it be possible just send out a final version of each of the pieces? I've got a bit mixed up with saving from the emails onto my iPad and I've got some pages that have just got like one line and things. And would it be possible just to have or put them onto I had a look on the website, but they're not on.
Yes, you have to download them separately, page 1 and 2.
Yeah. So one of the things I've always been a little bit wary of doing is going, hey guys, here's the full piece as a full piece, even at the end. Even because we are making this piece readily available, but it is still a composer's work that they have in books.
Yes.
So I don't actually want to make it too giveaway. I want people that have taken part to have it. That said, I can tell you exactly which days to download. Because I recently had someone
just got myself in a bit of a muddle with.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I've been just kind of skipping pages and.
Yeah. So if you
4
print
and 5 and 11 and 13.
Yeah, 4 and 5 and 11 and 13 will give you the full
5, 11 and 13. I'm fine with the squirrels. I've got that. It's the autumn mist.
Okay. So 11 and 13. Yeah.
11 and 13. Brilliant. Thank you.
Fulls of those and you've got it.
Can I just say, I mean, it's partly following up what Mary's just said about it being poor composer's work. And what I'm about to say now is not just a shameless sales pitch. But this book, I wrote. This is the fourth of four books. Harpo 1, Harpo 2, Harpo 3, Harpo 4. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 I wrote ages ago. And when I came to do this, I was really pleased with what I'd done, because there are 38 pieces in here, and I think they're all very varied, and some of them are really quite easy to do. Some of them are much more challenging, and I honestly think it's a book worth having. It's got the wolves in as well towards the end, which
I was just going to pick my copy up to check. Yes, it's got the wolves in, which we did in a January challenge a number of years ago, where you howl into the back of the harp.
And it's got some really lovely ones. Sometimes, there's one of my adult pupils who says, "Oh, can we play that? Oh, I love that piece." So I've done. There were two I've got here side by side. Mr. Pepys' Pavan and Mr. Pepys' Pleasure. Quite short, and they came about. Well, the first one came about. It's a kind of goes like this. So. It's that sort of feel, and so I just think it's definitely worth having the book, because there are loads of pieces that I think you'd really enjoy playing. End of sales pitch.
No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. So yes, so that's the best way to get a copy of the full thing. Buy the book.
And it's not horrendously expensive for what it's for. There's so much in there.
38 pieces in it. No, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's got the wolves in as well.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shameless plug in the newsletter
Do, yes.
with a link to your website. So don't.
And the Not Quite Beginners one as well, which is what the squirrels in shades is from.
Yeah, because they're linked to the JUNEwary challenge. It's not shameless at all. It's well deserved.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you. What you'll find in this, this isn't just a load of pieces. So the Harpo Not Quite Beginners, it's well off being absolute beginners, but what I've done in this book is continue what I did with Harpo Beginners books 1 and 2, which was to try and educate about the harmony, teaching pupils how to transpose and so on as well. And there are audio tracks, so there are lots of pieces that have accompaniments, and there are what I call earpieces. So at the bottom of lots of the pages, I don't know whether you can see that, there's a little picture of an ear, and it tells you what lever setting you need to have, and what the first few notes might be. But other than that, it's not written down at all. It's only in an audio track. So you can develop your ability to play by ear by listening to these tracks over and over again.
That sounds fantastic.
And music isn't available itself from the website. You can't download it from the website, but you can get a link to Crichton's collection and buy it through him.
And if June and Catherine and anyone else abroad gives you an email, they can sort that directly with you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, and thank you to everybody for attending this evening. I know it's a busy day in the UK. It's just been really lovely. Really, really enjoyed it. And see what happens in January. I have a slight, just a little thing to sort of preempt now, and you're the first to hear this, more or less, which is along the lines of, and it's a little on screen, and this has been since 2020, so it's only actually been for the last 5 years, where I put the sheet music up at the bottom of the screen, and it changes and it scrolls as the video goes along. I am aware how helpful that is, but I also am discovering as the years go on how much extra work it requires for me to put that in. It takes longer than the recording process of the videos to then get all the sheet music prepared in a way that can be put in and then be put in and changed and whatnot. So that is a feature that isn't going to appear going forwards. But in doing that, it will enable us to still do the challenges at all. So I'm hoping that my face and words will be okay and make up for that overall. The sheet music will be available daily as it is. So it may mean, if you are someone that likes the devices, in our modern world of having so many devices, that you bring up the music on a different screen next to you, and then you could still have both there. So there are ways of getting around it that don't involve active printing until later for those that want to do that. But just a little heads up for you on that, just for the sustainability and ongoing of it, with my apologies, but wanting to be able to carry it on for you overall. So, but yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mary. It's been and Stephen, it's been a really, really lovely evening going through the pieces.